Hi everybody, welcome back to Living Between Paychecks Kitchen. I'm Oz. Jack and Letty are quarantined at their place, doing the thing. I still don't know what to do with my hands. If you watched my last video, I just kept punching my own hand because it's self-defeating. Anything else, you can kind of see where my gut is. So, yeah. So this one was actually sent to me by a friend. She was like, yeah, I was supposed to send this to you. And I've never tried it. I'm interested. I just got a new sandwich panini maker thing for Christmas, and it's got a waffle iron attachment, so I'm going to try it. Apparently it works better if you have an actual dedicated waffle iron, but I'm going to try it. This sounds great. We're going to get into it. Before we do, be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the little bell. Should be down there, I think. Get notifications when we upload this kind of stuff. If this kind of thing can help you or your friends, be sure to share it, especially if you're stuck home and being broke, or like me, not wearing no pants underneath your chef's shirt. And let's just get into it. So you're going to need a bag of these frozen tater tots, but let them thaw. You don't want them like frozen hard. You want them squishy, nice and squishy. Then I got cheese. I use Swiss because that's just what I got. Onion and jalapeno or whatever you want to top it with. It's completely optional, but that's what I had, so that's what I'm going to use. And then I got some of this garlic chili sauce, but whatever kind of condiment you want to use if you want to use it. So I'm going to dress those up later. And you're going to need some kind of waffle-y press thing like this, right? So, that's everything you're going to need. So I'm going to start with my onion. Again, if you're not using onion, you can just skip this part, man. I cut the tip off. You got to worry about this papery onion hide here, man. I just pull that off. You're only going to want a little bit of this because you're just going to top it, right? So be careful if your waffle iron's hot. Mine doesn't have an on-off thing, so I just kind of had to leave it on. So once you get your ring, take it and just chop it down fine pieces. You don't want great big pieces of this. It's weird because I'm used to like waffles and they're being sweet, and now I'm like, I'm gonna put all this stuff like this jalapeno and I'm gonna slice it up and put it on these big rings. You can leave it like this, or you can take it and cut it down to smaller stuff, but I'm putting it on a waffle, or a waffle iron, right? So I feel weird. I'm like, I'm doing like hot and spicy stuff and being weird. So I have this thing. You can cut these up as small as possible. I'm going to do it two different ways here, man. I'm going to show y'all. One is you just dress it up with like the raw stuff later where it's not cooked. And one, you can put it on top of there and put it in the waffle iron. So now you got your waffle iron. Mine's starting to get hot. You can take some butter, some spray, non-stick stuff, put it on there. And then take your tater tots. You're going to line them up. This takes a little while, man. So using the magic of movies, I sped it up here and just put it all the way across, right? You can do half of it. You only want to do one of these things. But we went ahead and did it. Make sure everything's sprayed down and oiled if you want to. Mine's non-stick, so it's fine. And then once you get all these lined up, man, you are ready to go. And then just squash them. Like this is going to be the one. Like this is just naked on here. Everything's nice and hot and turned on. And you just go ahead and fold it down. You know, it's going to squish because it's tater tots. And then there, mine's got a lock on it. Mine doesn't have an on-off or a timer, so I'm going to let it in there. And you want to set it on between 5 and 6 minutes. Now, I checked it at 5 minutes, and it's steaming. That's like the oil and the water that's in there kind of cooking off. You can kind of see, like, all right, it's not browning. There's a hole where I left one right there. I left one out. I missed it. But it's still warm, but it's not quite browning, so I'm going to leave it back in there for a little bit. You can see where it's brown a little spots. So just close it back down. Now, it's supposed to push it together. When it starts browning, it is when it cooks together. So I don't have an on-off switch, so after 7 minutes, I just unplug it. That's my off switch. And you see it's a little golden brown. There's a tester that I had pulled off to see how those were cooking. Now, I'm going to use my tongs and a spatula to get this thing off because I was worried about them sticking. I didn't know how well these squished together. They look pretty much just, hey, it's tater tots that are cooked now, close to each other. They weren't quite squished. And this one, I left that hole in the middle, so they weren't as compact as I thought. So using my spatula, like I'm going to take it and take my knife and cut it so it's not just one big piece. But to help it, I'm going to put cheese and use the cheese as a glue to hold that shit down. Right? If you trust your non-stick, you can go ahead and close this back on top of it and, heat it up where it kind of glues it. I didn't, so I just got it close. So it just let it sit. They're hot enough where that cheese started melting. Use the knife to cut it down the middle and then try to pry this thing off. Now, I ended up having to use 2 hands. So when I turn this out, I'm going to show you this. I think I got everything but one tater tot off of this one. Yeah, like the corner stayed to the other one. You can put that on there. I think that was just down to the one that was in the middle, so it wasn't quite compressed. This one came off a lot better. If you have a bigger spatula, it works as well too. And that's it. And then you can dress it however you want. Like, I'll put the stuff on top of it. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. Now, the second one, I did it again. I just lined it right up. I was able to make 5 out of one of these bags. It was just my waffle iron. I got it all in there. I didn't leave a gap in it this time. I plugged it back in, turned it back on. It was still bad hot from the other one. But before I closed it, I went ahead and put my jalapenos and onion here. Now, I guess you could use almost any kind of vegetable here, man. If I had mushrooms, I would have tried that just because I could. Make sure they're clean. Make sure you wash all your vegetables first. And so I put these on top, kind of dusted them in there. And it's getting hotter as we're going, right? Like, that is still very much warm. Eat the raw onions because it's supposed to be healthier that way. And as long as you trust your nonstick, go ahead and close it. If not, put another spray of that, like Pam or whatever, or just rub it down with butter if you got to. Now leave it for 5-6 minutes. Now, this one with the vegetables, I let it go for 6.5, 7, but you can tell that this one there wasn't any spaces and it compressed a lot better. So after 7, it was thoroughly cooked. It was browning. Wasn't a lot of steam coming out of it, so I went ahead and cut it. I didn't cut it all the way. It actually cooked better on the bottom, and I think that's just because mine's not made to be a waffle press. It's made to be a panini maker. So I did it that way. So before I pull it off, I'll put my cheese on it. You know, that food glue, which is not actual food glue. That's a food thing. Like, you can actually look it up. Food glue is a thing, and it's gross. But put the cheese on it, let it melt down, make sure it's all patted, whatever, and that's really going to help with all this stuff. And then get your spatulator and pull that bad mama jam out. Now, you got to be gentle with it, man, because it's tater tots. They're just mashed together. So now, see this where that part didn't quite come apart, so I went ahead and cut it again. Don't be too heavy with your knife, especially if you got non-stick plates in it like mine does. But just go ahead and pull it out. Perfect. These are excellent. They cost like next to nothing, man. But these came out, and then I dressed them up with like a little bit of that chili sauce we talked earlier. But it's super easy. It was a lot easier than making a waffle. I mean, it just took longer because I had to put the tater tots on it. But I mean, the bag of tater tots cost like $3, and the cheese cost like $2. So this is set. Like, this is ready to go. And I made 5 of them out of that bag, and that fed me twice so far, and I still have 1 left over. So you ought to try this out, man. There we go. So there we have it, man. Like, some badass tater tot waffles. Thank you for Ann and Linda for throwing those out to us. Those are outstanding, man. They're super cheap, super easy. I heard a lot of people talk about these. I'm glad we got to make it with Jules here on the floor. Again, thank you for sending us for the pandemic pantry where I'm shooting this at the house. This is all very much living between paychecks kitchen, man. If you can find us on YouTube, we got all kind of stuff like this. Everything's under $10, exceptionally under $10 with this one. And man, you can find us on YouTube constantly, but we upload on Tuesdays and Fridays. We're trying our damnedest to still do it here in the quarantine pandemic thing. Been doing some live stuff over on Facebook. You can check us out over there at Living Between Paychecks Kitchen, man. We'll find you there. You can find us at Instagram at Living Between, Patreon and Pinterest, man. If you want to give us over there, we've been putting some of our recipes over on Patreon. Very much appreciated. And if you're on Patreon, thank you very much. You're the reason we can do this. We very much appreciate it. I understand if times are tough and you just ain't got the money and you can't do it. I get it. Just like, share, subscribe is just as good, and I will catch y'all next time.